Hi, I'm Nate Flax.
I'm Noah Longworth-McGuire.
And this is Talking Lion.
Talking Lion is a podcast focused on artist-to-artist conversations.
We're primarily artists, a duo called Sleeping Lion. And throughout our career as songwriters and producers, we've had the opportunity to work with so many incredible rising artists.
Talking Lion is about hitting record on the conversations we've had with our musical friends and collaborators to get a glimpse into what their life's been like and where it's going.
A few reminders before we start.
Firstly, we now have a Patreon for fans of the show to show their support and help keep the show going.
As a Patreon subscriber, not only will you earn rewards, but you'll also gain exclusive access to a chat room in our Discord server.
Here you can talk with us and even suggest questions for our guests.
Go to patreon.com/talkinglion to subscribe.
We appreciate your support.
As we mentioned, we also have a Discord server that's become a sort of community hub for Sleeping Lion and Talking Lion. We're very active on there and very eager to talk to you about who you are on the show and how you feel about the new episodes, as well as just talking about life.
So yeah, come through and you can talk with us. You can make some new friends, share your art, and share your memes.
Go to sleepinglionmusic.com/discord to join our server.
We hope to see you there.
Lastly, our face is on a shirt. We have shirts now for Talking Lion with our faces on them. If you want to wear us on your shirt, buy a shirt. It helps support the show and it shows your friends that you like Sleeping Lion and Talking Lion.
You can find these shirts on our website, sleepinglionmusic.com/store. Pro tip. Patreon supporters of the honorary Lion tier or higher will get a free shirt.
Now back to the show.
We recorded this episode with our new friend, Em Beihold.
I first found Em on TikTok and we connected over DMs, but this was the first time we got to chat in person.
We recorded this a few months after the release of her viral single, Groundhog Day.
A trigger warning for this episode. In this, we talk about the various aspects of mental health, from medication to suicide. If you or anyone you're listening with are struggling with these things, we encourage you to find help or call the National Suicide Prevention Line, which is 1-800-273-8255.
Em Beihold is a clever lyricist, strategist, and swashbuckler, and we had a hilarious time getting to know her.
So,
without further ado,
I'm Em Beihold, and this is Talking Lion.
well, hey.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Not so bad. I was tired, and now I'm not tired.
Fantastic.
How are you doing, Noah?
I'm all right. I'm hanging in there.
Were you tired and now not tired?
I am precisely the level of tired that I was, that I have been all day.
It happens.
It happens.
A baseline tired.
Which is fine. I'm fine. I'm doing all right.
It's nice to meet you, though. We were talking before taping that we just have a dozen and a half mutual friends, some of which have been on the podcast. So it's nice. I always love when the tangential friends become real friends, you know?
Me too. Absolutely.
But yeah, and I think what I love about this TikTok community that has sort of formed in the pandemic and in pandemic season 2 is that you guys all do collaborate or know each other or DM and whatnot. And we've made friends through the app. I mean, this season alone has been just people I've seen on the For You page and then been hey, you're awesome.
It's the TikToks. It's informally known as the TikTok
the
season.
TikTok season. The era of TikTok.
The era of TikTok.
How has your last year and a half been vis-a-vis the app or just in general?
Well, so funny enough, I graduated college in 2020, June of 2020, in my living room because of the pandemic.
Where did you go?
UC San Diego.
Gotcha.
Maybe worth saying that I did fencing there because that's kind of a surprising fact that people don't generally know
I
about
love that.
Very
The
fun.
singer of my high school band did fencing. I always wanted to do fencing. I was always on the fence.
That's a really, that's a good one.
Thank you.
I'm going to give it to you.
We're off to a great start.
But basically, I graduated and I was applying to jobs every day for a year, not hearing back from any. My friends were like, "Oh, download TikTok," and I was like, "No, that's what the kids are on, and I don't want to do dances." And I didn't understand the purpose at all. Thought it was silly.
We didn't either.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the story that I hear.
Everybody who's over 21.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was like, no. But then I did, and then I remember my first video got 3,000 plays, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's insane." I mean, little did I know that's when a video doesn't perform too well. So that's kind of funny.
We always change the metrics. I think that we threw ourselves in when we were in college. We threw a party when we got our first 1,000 streams on a Spotify song, and that was a huge deal. And now, yeah, if we get that a day,
right,
like that's a bad day.
Right.
Yeah.
I totally feel that because I remember seeing once that one of my songs hit 15K and I hadn't checked in a while, and I was like just flabbergasted. And now I see a song hits 5 million. And while I'm grateful for sure, it just doesn't feel like as strong as it did before. I don't know.
No, I mean, we this week had like a song we put out a couple years ago, hit 1 million. It's actually the first song of ours to hit 1 million.
Congrats.
And it was, I mean, thank you. But it was also one of those things where I think when the song came out, we probably would have lost our shit if it hit that number. Now I was almost like overwhelmed by how little I felt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I've been writing about that a ton, like that exact feeling.
Well, it's because we try to base everything in numbers. And then when we hit the numbers, we realize they're all just numbers, and we could have just moved we could have moved the threshold of enjoyment, anywhere.
Yeah. 100%.
Validation. So you were studying fencing, or
I was studying communication and business. But I went to college to do NCAA fencing because I had been fencing since I was 8, and it was kind of a difficult choice. Like, do I want to do music school because I know I want to be an artist, or do I want to have a backup plan? And I just kind of thought like, well, I didn't get into USC, so there's that.
I didn't get into USC either.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I applied for film.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, but we're here now.
Here now.
Maybe if we did go, we wouldn't be here.
I got a LinkedIn notification that USC's film program like looked up my profile. And I was like, do you guys want to talk?
I think they regret their decision.
Do you guys want to talk? I'll teach sound.
Yeah, you absolutely could.
USC, if you're listening, I'm widely available.
But yeah, I studied communication and business. And to be so honest, I don't know what communication is. I could not tell you.
I think you're communicating great.
I appreciate
it.
Yeah. Thank you. So I guess we were successful in that
I would
regard.
say you're communicating at a collegiate level right now.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, but not professional. Just ended at the collegiate.
Yeah. Well, you got the degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in a sense, you are a professional communicator. Like in a sense, that is the job.
That's true.
Of especially in the modern era of
I guess
artistry.
The communications to social media manager pipeline. Like if you're running your social media, if you're getting viral videos on a regular basis, that's the litmus, right?
We can definitely translate it to that line.
I think what's interesting about you being a fencer is that I feel like I've always stood by, and it's one of the reasons why, despite the fact that we have a music podcast, I hate listening to music podcasts, is because I feel like you don't learn a ton from how did we write this song or how do we write that song, because songwriting sessions are so unique.
Right.
But I love listening to like comedy podcasts and the way that they talk about construction of jokes, or film podcasts about how collaboration runs. And I read a ton of poker books because I'm a pretty avid poker player. And what I love is I feel like I've learned so much about the music industry from poker theory.
That's interesting.
And I feel like fencing is a somewhat similar idea of understanding when is the right time to strike, when is the right time to defend.
Literally, exactly.
Like and understanding the advantages and disadvantages of being aggressive against being defensive.
Totally. Wow, you nailed it. I mean, for a non-fencer, that's insane that you understand that level of it. But like,
well, it's all poker.
It's all poker because fencing is all about like rhythm and how you break the rhythm with like your distance, your speed, your everything. So it's funny because in lessons, like I'll be doing, I don't know, a wrist pick to a foot, and you do it in a rhythm where it's very constant. But then there's something called broken tempo, which is funny enough what I'm worst at in fencing, where you like break the timing really quickly. And I think it's because I'm used to moving in a rhythm.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and similarly in poker, there is table image to always keep in mind. So sometimes it's actually good to lose a hand to a hard bluff because of a hard bluff, because you're advertising that you now have bluffing in your arsenal. If you were playing every hand for what you had, then people would know if you bet hard that you have something good and they would fold out of it.
Right.
If people know that you're capable of bluffing and you advertise that early by losing with a bluff, then all of a sudden your loss has become your biggest tool of advertisement.
Right.
I find that just like in music, a lot of those principles apply, that you take a loss on one thing to win a gain in another. Maybe you have a bad deal to get a bunch of Spotify numbers, but then you use those numbers to get bigger sessions and better deals.
Right.
Where do you take your losses, and how do you advertise that a loss is actually a part of your toolkit?
So true. Everything is connected.
It's all poker.
My goodness, it's all poker.
That's cool though. I mean, so how did you? Are you from Los Angeles?
Yep, born and raised.
Well, we don't see many of those. You guys, New York native, man of the world.
I'm a man of the world.
Man of the world. We love that.
Yeah.
And we've been here for about 4 years. But how did you first get into fencing, and how did you first get into music? Because I think interestingly, you and Jay Maya, who is a mutual friend and a podcast alum, have a similar story in. You guys were studying one thing and not really thinking about doing the music thing. And then the pandemic hit, and all of a sudden, a couple hundred or million streams later, you guys are doing the damn thing,
I mean, I always knew I wanted to do music. I just knew it wasn't a safe path. And I'm someone who generally would go for the safer path. But I got into music around the age of 6. Where I saw a piano in a window of a store, and I asked my parents if I could have it, just because I thought people who played instruments were cool.
Yeah.
And then I was terrible at practicing, but like I would take Chopin or Beethoven or whatever I was playing and like start experimenting with where those chords could go instead of actually playing the piece, because I preferred to create something new than do something that's already been written.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
already done, so why would you do it again?
I mean, we all faced that problem at one point, which is why we got into writing.
Yeah. Exactly.
If we liked the songs that were out.
I mean, not
just cover
to
artists.
not to dump on Chopin and Beethoven.
You know what? They have enough praise. We can dump on them. Yeah. If they have something to say about it, come onto the podcast.
Yeah.
Where Chopin? Where are you? Local? Are you? And then how did you get into fencing? Because I see them as both being equally important, despite the fact that obviously you are a professional musician, an artist. I think the hobbies that you have is the inner game of tennis. Yeah, because when it comes to writing and creating stuff, especially in our zeitgeist, a lot of it is about the mental game around it. It's how do you keep up with trends while creating a unique perspective for yourself, while collaborating, while, work-life balance and handling uncertainty and variance and all that. So I always love to know where the bug comes from, but also want to know where the game theory comes from,
Yeah, totally. I started fencing when I was 8. My dad had been doing it since college.
Oh, wow.
And so he taught me, and we made our driveway a makeshift fencing strip, and he would give me lessons basically.
Wow.
And then I just competed, I think starting at maybe 11, 12, and then would do like national competitions and just kept it up until college. But honestly, like you make such a good point, because I think I learned more from doing NCAA fencing that's relevant to my career now than I did education-wise, because I mean, it was a lot about mental game. Fencing, they literally call physical chess.
Right.
But I had to work on a team. I was a captain at one point, so I had to do like, taking care of other people and managing things, and also like just the stress of competition but also the excitement. Like there's just so many things.
Well, there's a physicality to it too. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I think is it looks so cool to watch, in The Parent Trap. But it's also just like that it is this blend of physical speed and endurance with that chess component.
Right.
Which I feel like, Noah and I don't necessarily do physical stuff all the time. I bike a bit, and you do yoga and whatnot. But when you have to stay up until 3 a.m. to get your distro deadline on time, that's endurance.
Yeah.
And to be able to be as acute mentally in that moment as you would be, 3 cups of coffee and
Right.
8 hours of sleep, I think it's interesting that you had that just off the jump,
I definitely feel lucky to have had that experience. Funny enough, endurance was never a strong suit of mine. Still struggle with it now. So something to improve on for sure.
For sure.
But, to go from 20 hours a week of training to not really leaving my room very much. It's quite a difference.
What do you think you learned from like your wins and losses in those games? Because you probably had some great beats and some bad beats, right?
Yeah. I think I learned a lot about perspective, because when I was doing NCAA fencing, I qualified for the NCAA championships twice, which is pretty hard to do. And it was like my whole goal for, NCAA fencing as a whole. And I remember my second year, I came 12th, and that's when you get All-American status. And I had like, I think something like 12 wins, 11 losses.
What does All-American status mean?
All-American is like you're bestowed in honor of doing
All of America.
all of them. Yeah,
Wow.
precisely.
Is that like Olympic track?
No, I don't know about Olympic track. But I just finishing in the top half of an NCAA championship is how you get it, I think. But I mean, it was a big deal for me. But somehow all I could focus on was like the 11 losses and thinking like, oh, I lost that one 5-4. Like if I had just done this a little differently. But then I was like, why am I programming my brain to remember all the negative things instead of realizing like, oh my God, I came in the top half at this competition, you know? So I think that's very relevant to this career too, where like, you're not always going to have everything you want. It's never going to be enough. And it feels that way sometimes, but it's just shifting your perspective to really appreciating what you do have.
I think when we were in school and we first started putting out music and our friends were putting out music and then they started to have better streams than us or whatever, I would like compare a lot like on the Spotify analytics.
Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah, I would do it every day and it would drive me crazy. And I think it affected the songwriting. It affected the reason we were making our songs. It was this pit for me.
Yeah.
And when we finally stopped doing it, when I stopped looking at the analytics, which I've been clean from analytics for 3 years now.
Teach me your ways.
It just suddenly feels better, you know? Like and it also, I think when you're looking at it in that way, you don't get this other side, which is the tide can rise every ship. You know, maybe your friends are getting more streams than you, but they still want to write. They still want to hang. They still want to podcast, like whatever. We can still create this story together. And yeah, I think that understanding how the wins and losses come into play, but how specific a loss is as a comparison. A loss is literally somebody's better than you.
Yeah.
And to be able to be like, okay,
yeah.
sick. In poker, it's very easy to get tilted where somebody beats you. And so you're betting stupid because you are embarrassed by that beat. And eventually you continue to make more mistakes. And they'll have you because they know they tilted you and you're out.
Right.
So
I definitely have a comparable to that.
Definitely, yeah. So just knowing how to like keep even, you know, even keel, like that's how you have a long career in the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
You know, is like not being worried how old you are, how many streams you got, like all that, whatever. Right. That's how you just keep the car moving.
And I definitely used to compare myself to my friends. Like I would be happy for them, of course, but I'd be like, oh, like I'm not worthy of them because I don't have X amount of whatever. But at this point, like I'm just happy for everyone, just regardless of my situation. And it's such a better way to live.
Well, then everybody's eating on tunes. Like that's the long and short is like everybody's eating on tunes, you know, like, and if you are eating more on tunes, good for you. If you are paying rent on tunes, good for you, all that, whatever. But for all of us to succeed in a space that we were told we couldn't, that the odds were against us. Yeah, to be having these worries means we're in the game anyway. Like those are victories, especially for people who are cautious. Like us, I think we all saw the easier path and decided,
it's boring.
It's boring. You don't win as much if you don't bet as much.
Right.
Stopping the podcast to shout out one of our sponsors, The Truffleist. Noah, you like to cook.
I do like to cook.
You're actually very good at cooking.
I'd say I'm decent.
But I think that the thing about cooking that you have taught me is that flavor is everything.
Truly.
You got to bring in little flavors that you wouldn't expect. And one of my favorite flavors is the taste of truffles.
A great flavor.
But we are so lucky to have the Truffleist as a sponsor for Talking Lion. Founded by Jimmy Coons and based in Long Island City, Queens, the Truffleist creates artfully handcrafted truffle products of the highest quality and flavor.
While their truffles are imported from the countrysides of Italy, France, and Spain, they proudly source many of their base ingredients locally from small farms and artisanal producers.
They offer a variety of truffle products, from truffle oil and truffle butter to truffle salami and honey to even truffle hot sauce.
I love truffle hot sauce.
They've also recently launched cheesesteaks by the Truffles, so keep an eye out for pop-ups in your area. So bring the taste of truffle into your life. You can use the code LionPod15 for 15% off your order through October 31st.
Now back to the show.
Actually, Noah and I are starting a fencing team called Fencing Lion.
Yep,
I
that's the
I
one.
would love to join if you would have me.
Oh, you're actually we're banking on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just gonna
Terrible with
we're just
that,
gonna be there. We're gonna be there. We're producing
Okay.
the fencing team. You are the
fencing team.
featured fencer. Yeah.
I see. Okay, I can do that. I can get behind that.
All right, we're going pro. Done.
Yeah, easy.
We actually will strictly compete with other artists and podcasters. So I think 95% chance that we'll beat everybody. And then we
Ooh.
run into the one artist podcaster who also happens to fence, and we're fucked.
I've actually thought about that. I've thought the way you're doing a podcast, I thought about like, what if I just got different artists to fence with me?
I think that'd be a really interesting and
Be
fun
really
video.
funny.
I think it would actually be a really fun video. I mean, as long as nobody got hurt.
Oh yeah.
So, okay, yeah. So you graduated in your house.
Yep. And then basically every day felt exactly the same. Hence the writing of
Groundhog
Day, where I just posted the chorus. Like, I don't know, it just came to me on another day where nothing was happening. And I had only written the chorus when I posted it.
And it's easy to say I'm okay. Up and down these emotional ways. I'm sick and tired of living Groundhog Day. Day after day. Day after day.
And then it started doing well, and I was like, well, we gotta write the rest of the song now. And then I finished it in a Zoom session with Laura Jean Anderson. And pretty much within 2 weeks, I got it produced by a good friend named Ian Walsh, who nailed exactly what I wanted. And
I mean, it's awesome.
Thank
like it has this like Regina Spektor
my favorite
vibe to it, like
of all
very like
time.
Eat era of it, but there's a almost like a Billie Eilish sensibility to some of the choices in the production. I think like in how you sound, how you blend, and like everything. So it's like it's this older and newer thing kind of like coming together.
Literally, I describe myself as like a wannabe modern Regina Spektor in every single session.
You hit it at every nail
Thank
in
you
that.
so
yeah.
much. I am obsessed with her. I wouldn't be writing music without her.
I literally wrote a note that was like, bring up Regina Spektor.
Good job. You did well. When I was in 4th grade, my mom put me in this like theater camp. And I remember someone was singing The Call
Oh, wow. Yeah.
on stage. And I like felt like I had completely transcended from my body, which is super dramatic for a 4th grader.
No, but like,
But I was like, I want to do that. I want to be able to make that. And also my piano teacher at the time, Jameson Trotter, had shown me Regina Spektor and like Fidelity on the radio, those kind of
Sure.
songs. So I just like did a deep dive into her as an artist.
I love Regina. I was a big Ben Folds fan too, and their collaborations I love. Hero in 500 Days of Summer, like always blew me away. But right when we started getting into like writing and production, my friends showed me Dance Anthem of the 80s, which I hadn't heard before. And that song is my favorite song by her. Like,
Yeah.
I know it's a little bit out there for her stuff, but the way that the bridge like contextualizes the entire song, I'm like, that is magic and math. Like, I have no idea, like harmonically, like all the things that went into making that song work is crazy to me.
Right. I feel like she has such a fresh take on music, and like so many people do the same thing, which is fine. But like her melodies, her lyrics are so unpredictable and out there that I'm just gripped the whole time.
And she makes it challenging. But
Yeah.
like it's something, you know, that we're seeing in media a lot. Like fucking Squid Game is the #1
Right.
show right now, and probably still will be when this episode comes out. But like,
Watched
you
it
know,
right before I came here.
there we go. It's like the more that we trust our audiences with a little bit of complexity and weirdness and whatnot, the more like, and it maybe takes a little longer, but you do see it in like Billy and Olivia Rodrigo and like all that stuff of like the more you challenge the audience, the more they are going to be invested because they were challenged.
Right. They
If you
put in the effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You give somebody a crossword puzzle, they're gonna finish the puzzle.
Funny
You
enough,
know?
I covered Dance Anthem of the 80s when I was in like 6th grade.
You got to find that video. We got to splice it in right now.
And I was 100% too young to be singing that song. So I didn't put in the work then to understand it.
Oh, I guess, yeah, Meat Market. Didn't really think about that either.
Also, the watching each other sleep.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and then walking through the city like a drunk but not, with my slip showing a little like a... Oh, it's a very sexy song.
It's a very
bit,
sexual
little bit.
song.
I forgot it's a sexy song. I just thought about people eating and sleeping. I'm innocent.
Exactly, we're innocent. It's not our fault.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a feeling there was some Regina Spektor influence. Some being a very weak word, an understatement, I think.
My life goal is to meet her.
Oh, man.
Like, I will feel like I have made it when I meet her, even if it's as a fan, you know?
So that's where the piano comes
Yeah.
a little bit more, too.
Definitely. And then I'm also a big fan of Fiona Apple, who I tend to call
That tracks.
Regina's evil twin.
Yeah, she's like the wild Luigi, the Wario too.
Yes.
To
The
Regina
Warrior,
Spektor.
Regina Spektor. So you made Groundhog's Day. I love that you played it in front of your parents. Like,
I mean, I'm super close with my parents, so I appreciated all their support on that front. And I told them, like, look, this one went pretty viral. We need to do another video. And my mom joked, like, you need to talk to my lawyer for that. But they're very kind with their
I love
time
their
and
cameo
appearance.
in the actual music video. It's great
Yeah.
too. Yeah, the little peek in the door and then
Took a little bit of talking into, but we got there.
That's fair.
eventually.
That's fair. Yeah. Do you like the movie Groundhog Day?
I do. I do. And I remember when I was writing with Laura Jean, I don't remember if she brought it up or I did, but one of us just said, like, we're literally describing the movie Groundhog Day. And that's kind of when that moment
Right.
came. Or actually, no,
Because you have the chorus already, right?
I had the first verse.
Oh.
Sorry, City of Angels, I had the chorus. Should I re-say all of that?
No.
Okay.
We'll just this is the edit.
Okay.
We are editing in real time.
Fantastic. Yeah, I had the first verse that was like, all my friends are moving on, getting hitched, and then they're gone.
All my friends are moving on, getting hitched, and then they're gone, and I'm alone, all alone.
Right.
That's right. And then I didn't know where to go with it.
Because I think I saw a TikTok of that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I posted first. And then, Laura Jean helped me come up with the concept of Groundhog Day, and the rest is history.
Oh, that's a great movie. That's a great movie that ruined the rest of them. You know, it's like everybody wants to make Groundhog Day. I think the closest they got was Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, I was about to say Edge of
Live, Die,
Tomorrow.
Repeat.
There's
Tom Cruise.
Palm Springs, too. Did you see that
Yeah,
one?
Palm Springs.
I didn't watch Palm Springs. I just don't want to do Groundhog's Day again.
Yeah.
I think, okay, Russian Doll.
Yeah.
They did good with Russian Doll.
What about Deathloop? You're gonna play Deathloop,
I'm
aren't
going to
you?
play Deathloop. Yeah. Fine. Okay, I can stay. You can keep using
Time loop. It's
media.
A,
You can still use the concept.
it's a whole genre now. But Groundhog's Day
It's
is
the Groundhog's Day genre.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I learned recently that Eminem also has a song called Groundhog Day.
Whoa.
So that wasn't the best decision, given that I'm an M.
Wow.
and
He's
he's
Eminem. That's more M's than you.
Exactly.
I think the video I found though that had me DM you was for Nun Little Bug.
The past month or so, I've been a numb little bug, and so I wrote a song about it because that's a new feeling for me.
Do you ever get a little bit tired of life? Like you're not really happy, but you don't wanna die. Like you're hanging by a thread, cause you gotta survive, cause you gotta survive. Like your body's in the room, but you're not really there. Like you have empathy inside, but you don't really care. Like you're fresh out of love, but it's been in the air. Am I past repair?
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because that I remember we were talking about this before, like taping. Very rarely, although the podcast would be evidence against this, very rarely am I like floored by some of the TikTok music stuff. Like it takes oftentimes a lot of lyrical things to kind of like snag me. I think the people we've had on the podcast that we found through TikTok are all some like insane lyricists. And I think that was the thing that kind of gripped me about Nun Little Bug was just like there's a specificity to how you write.
Thank you.
There is obviously the Regina background, the theater background, like all of that reads and tracks, but it's also it is earned and it's unlike anything I've heard on the app. Yeah, which is why I immediately I was like, hi, hello, hi. like your music. We have a podcast.
I'm happy to come. Yeah, Numb Little Bug is an interesting one. Basically, what inspired that story was after Groundhog Day, my whole life was not Groundhog Day any longer. Like, a lot of things changed. I was getting reached out to by a lot of labels and opportunities, and it was amazing, but I was taking everything. And to the point where I got super burnt out super quickly.
Happens.
And I was like, okay, wow. So I just entered the industry and now I'm already burnt out. Do I want to do this? I was talking to a psychiatrist who put me on antidepressants. And at a certain point, I literally did not feel a thing. Like, everything good was happening, everything I wanted, but I just felt numb. And so, yeah, I wrote that chorus. And then when I made the TikTok, I said, I've been feeling like a numb little bug. Like, I didn't plan that. I just said that. And now, like, that's what everyone's calling it and what the song is called.
Right.
Actually, I don't know if in the track I'm even going to say numb little bug at any point.
Well, good. I think I'm sick of titles being a lyric from a song. It's like now that's the whole trend.
It's so
Right.
much
Yeah.
more fun, cute, and indie to have a song title that's like
Yeah.
unrelated or like
We
semi-related.
grew up with Fall Out Boy. It was just
Right.
like I'm like a lawyer in the way I get you off. Like what does that have to do with anything?
Right, right.
Sure, Dance Dance and Sugar Were Going Down were the popular ones where they said the words.
Right.
But I just thought it was really great.
Thank you.
And is that coming out in
It is. It's been a process to get right. I've worked with a few people on it who all had a very good touch, but it just hasn't hit that sound that I want yet. So I'm hoping to get it out pretty soon.
Do you have a favorite lyric in Groundhog Day and in Numb Little Bug?
Ooh, I guess for Numb Little Bug, probably the first one that is why people stay on that video is, do you ever get a little bit tired of life? Like, you're not really happy, but you don't want to die? Because I'm better now. I want to put that on the table. I'm not numb anymore, thank goodness. But at the time, it was just like floating, where you don't want to be gone, but you don't want to be here. Like, you kind of just want to hit the pause button on everything. And what was amazing, especially, is like with that video, a lot of people were commenting, I've always felt like this and I never knew how to say it. And I'm showing my therapist this and she understands what I'm talking about all of a sudden.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, those moments to me are the best as an artist, when you can say things that people don't know how to say. So that's my favorite part about everything. Like, it's never going to be touring Coachella or this or that. It's like the way that you connect with your audience.
I was talking to our mutual friend, Mia Giovina, this morning about that specific thing, that we actually have a responsibility in our songs to connect to other people. When somebody doesn't want to put out a song, or somebody doesn't want to think about the marketing or all that stuff, you are depriving somebody who doesn't know how to express themselves the ability to use your music as a tool to do that.
Right.
And to feel seen and feel heard and everything. So sometimes when people are working on songs and they're like, oh yeah, I'm probably not going to put it out. I'm like, no, you have a fucking responsibility. Like it's not about you anymore. It's about
Right.
some kid in Iowa who thinks that nobody understands them.
And that's the funny thing is, frankly, with all the renditions of Numb Little Bug that there have been so far, I am a little tired of the song, but I'm not doing it for myself.
Right,
I'm doing
yeah.
it because of all those comments of people saying they want it, you know?
Yeah. If you didn't feel numb about the song, then why would we even put it out? It's it's indicative of it.
I will say that mental health is probably the main thing that I've been writing about, and it's not my entire platform, but I think there should be more honesty and vulnerability about it. Existing is so weird. I mean, not to get existential.
No, but like, you never stop existing. Even when you're sleeping, you're just like taking a break.
Right.
And it's not like you're not doing anything else. You're fucking dreaming.
Yeah.
This is just nonstop content.
It's true. I mean, sometimes I just think about like all the systems that we follow
Yeah.
as humans, and like we didn't have a choice, but we're just put into them.
Just stuck in this little
Eating and
railroad.
entertaining and
Yeah.
all this
Right.
stuff. But like, yeah, the only way to not engage with it is to be numb, which unto itself is a shitty, derealizing
It's a terrible
feeling.
feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm trying to compartmentalize existentialism into songs because I don't quite understand it yet, but everyone else will discover it as I do because I'll be writing about it.
Hey, all you got to do is think, and therefore you are.
There you go.
pausing the podcast to shout out our sponsor, New Wave.
No, I've been drinking coffee my entire life.
You know, as a Roman, same.
As a New Yorker, absolutely.
It's our birthright.
It's our birthright. We came out of the womb drinking coffee.
Fully caffeinated.
And the thing is that we're not getting any younger.
That's true.
And we're not getting any less anxious.
Oh, man, that's true too.
I'll say I have loved coffee my whole life, but lately it hasn't really been agreeing with me.
How so?
Unfortunately, when I drink coffee now, I just start feeling very agitated, very anxious. And I've been looking around for alternatives that don't make my heart just beat out of my chest while I'm in the middle of working. And that's how we stumbled upon New Wave. New Wave's Flow State Coffee is an organic ground coffee meant to lower anxiety, improve brain function, and support creativity. With L-theanine and raw cacao, Flow State Coffee is meant to feel like a cup of hot chocolate or tea while giving the energy of coffee.
And now, through Talking Lion, you can try a couple cups of your own.
If you go to their website, newwave.co, that's N-O-O wave.co, you can use the code Brewing Lion for 10% off your first order. We hope you get a creative boost and find your flow state.
Now, back to the show.
The last couple TikToks I've posted have been like, and trying to bare my soul, it's just been like, the last thing I wrote was like a little broken inside, but like it was like a similar kind of thing of like, sure, I've been going to therapy. I sort of know what's wrong with me, but I'm not sure there's a cure. Like just like being in this in between of like being okay and like being treated, but also like not feeling great all the time. And
Yeah.
I'm just like figuring out how to be a person.
Well, I think a lot of it is social media too, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we're the first generation to be constantly like shoved with what everyone else is doing. So
Mhm.
we're all sick.
Yeah.
Like it's literally a pandemic, social media.
Yeah.
And also the amount of value and importance that has been placed on identity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which on the one hand actually is a good thing. Like you have between race and sexuality and everything on the social spectrum, like identity is extremely important, and the fact that people are expressing and carving and creating those spaces for identity is so important. The double-edged sword of it is that identity is what also radicalizes right-wing media. Identity is also what keeps people in toxic mental health patterns. Like if you consider part of your identity to be a loner or to be depressed or to be any number of unsustainable things under the sun, I consider part of my identity to be an insomniac or a workaholic.
Right.
You know, if I suddenly like went to sleep at 8 p.m. and I took on half of the work that I usually do, I would feel a disassociation from how I view myself.
Right.
You know,
I
and
wrote
that,
about that literally yesterday.
and that's the thing is like identity has become, and it goes further than that because identity is your ticket into conversations, but also it's your brand on social media. It's the thing that you write about, and that there has been a monetary value assigned to your identity. So I think that's tricky, especially when you want to heal,
Right.
because it makes a lot of the cures feel almost worse than the diseases, because part of the cure is almost like a depersonality process.
Yeah.
You know, changing fundamentally your identity.
But also even just like branding as an artist is something that's a little stressful for me because you're in a box of what you expect other people to think about you. You know?
Right, right.
So I feel like I always need to be kind of happy-go-lucky and a little sarcastic, and like I need to stick to certain emotions and certain colors and certain like this and that, and not able to just live without thinking about inconsistencies.
Well,
you
and
know?
that's the double-edged sword
Yeah.
of the responsibility that we were talking about earlier. If we have a responsibility to how we're perceived by people as well,
Yeah.
for their sake,
Right.
you know, what does that say about our ability to experience stuff on a spectrum? Though I think there has been an interesting transition of just like allowing celebrities to be multidimensional people.
Yeah.
But it's one of the things one of the reasons I don't like comment on like celebrity relationships. Whenever it comes up in conversation, I'm like, I don't want to fucking talk about John Mulaney and Olivia Munn.
Yeah.
I don't want
It
to.
makes me really uncomfortable.
I don't want to talk about somebody I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I was having, because I was in one of these conversations recently about John Mulaney and Olivia Munn, and I was thinking to myself, like, this makes me really uncomfortable. I feel so detached from this conversation. I kind of reasoned my way out of it by thinking about it like, we're not actually talking about these human beings. Like
Right.
we're using these human beings as proxies to talk about ideas that we hold close to us. Like we're
About
not talking
relationships.
About relationships.
Yeah.
We're not talking about John Mulaney and Olivia Munn. We don't know Olivia Munn. We're using her as an avatar to say, oh, I've met people like this in the past and they've made me feel this way, and I'm processing those feelings via Olivia Munn.
So true.
The only space where I feel like it's okay for us to comment on the people specifically is The Bachelor.
Yes.
Yes.
Because that's what they signed up for.
That's what they signed up
Yes.
for.
Lucian fucking protocol.
Exactly.
They can be edited however the producers want.
Exactly.
Exactly. And we're good. Like that is what they signed up for.
Yeah.
They're suffering for our entertainment.
They signed the Faustian bargain to become characters.
Yes.
And that's what they want.
We will eat up their sweet suffering.
And we'll eat up their sweet suffering. I think that's part of the head trip of being an artist, though, is that we are trying to become reality TV stars, but we are also the editors. So we have to literally have that back and forth within our personalities and our bodies of
Totally.
what to edit and what to give ourselves a villain edit or not, or to give ourselves a good edit. And just being on either side of that equation is enough to drive a single person insane.
Producer manipulation.
But being on both sides of that equation at once with TikTok as the lens is maddening to think about.
It's fantastic that we have these outlets of opportunity, but also it's way too much to keep track of.
I haven't met anybody who has had a healthy relationship with the app.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely not.
Even people who have found great communities or have self-diagnosed their ADHD with it. Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah. I have a time limit set for 45 minutes. I reach it every single day.
Oh my God.
It's sickening. And my whole point in setting that is to not reach it, to not get that notification. And I still do.
But then, I mean, the other side of that panic for me is, okay, if I spent 45 minutes on TikTok as opposed to 46, and I found you on the 46th,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
we wouldn't be here.
That's true.
You know?
And I have made really good friends from that 46th minute.
Yeah, and that I think feeds a kind of addiction.
Yeah.
Especially my kind of like obsession with chaos and how all the threads are so thin in how we're all
Yeah.
connected and meet each other and all that stuff.
Yeah. The other thing is like you need to be on top of trends to know what content you should be posting. So like
Mhm.
berries and cream talk, for instance. If I was on for 5 minutes, I'd be like, what the heck is going on?
I was not on the app for like a little bit because I was traveling. I broke my shoulder. I was just like, wasn't engaging for a
Yeah.
sec. And I missed berries and cream. I completely missed the trend.
That's my
It
fear.
happened so fast. I
Right.
missed the entire trend.
Right. And then all of a sudden you're out of the conversation.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Berries and
Terrifying.
cream.
Berries and
Berries
cream.
and
The thing is, like, I kept thinking, how can I fit berries and cream into Groundhog Day or this or that? Like, I
Right.
was trying to, I didn't in the end, but like, I'm always thinking about how can I incorporate this trend into a music way where it's relevant. Like, I don't know if you saw the video of that girl doing all the funky skips on
no.
the track. She was doing like very rhythmic skipping. So I did,
It's like the physical activity skipping.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I did like a song to it, and it
Oh.
it doesn't make sense, but like, again, it's just like thinking in a different lens. Like, how can you collaborate?
And for what it's worth, like this kind of like super fast content output is creating really great quick songwriters. It's
Mhm.
making great quick producers or video editors or just general comedy or content creators, which is giving incredible tools to a younger generation to be self-sufficient and to be multifaceted creatives. And then on the other hand, we all just gave a shit ton of free advertising as a community to Starburst. So, there's good and there's bad and there's bad and there's good and there's good and there's bad, and we all need therapy now.
Yeah.
Like,
Can that be my next song, please?
it's good and it's bad and it's bad, it's good and it's
Yeah.
good and it's bad, it's bad, it's good, and we all need therapy. You can sample it from the podcast itself.
Okay, fantastic.
5%, I'm calling your manager.
Pausing the podcast to remind you that we have a Patreon that you can subscribe to if you want to support the show.
If you're enjoying this episode, but you're thinking that you've got a burning question for an artist, or you just want to talk with us, or maybe you just want to mug with our faces, our Patreon's the way to go.
So go to patreon.com/talkinglion to subscribe.
Now back to the show. Well, before we find ourselves in an existential spiral in which we all become so derealized that we're all watching this conversation from a third-person perspective,
Nice.
Em, are you ready for the question round?
Yes, I'm so ready.
So the random question for today is, what would you most like to do for someone else if you had the time and money?
So my mom is Persian and she emigrated here when she was 12 from the revolution. And just because of my heritage, I'm pretty aware of like gender issues that happen in the Middle East and women being treated very poorly. Same with Afghanistan with the new situation and the Taliban taking over and everything. So I definitely would like to find a way to help that situation, which I've been thinking about, maybe through a charity concert or like a series of them or something where money can be donated to female entrepreneurs who can do things from their house or at least not fit the roles that they're put in right now. But that's definitely something I'm passionate about because it's not an easy answer either. It's not as simple as like, fly them over here.
Right,
Whatever.
No, it's like
Right.
it's a culture.
It's-
It's,
yeah,
culture to,
it's a
to
much-
shift slowly.
It's a bigger deal, but if I'm a good half Persian, I would like to do something that's slightly useful.
That's lovely.
It's great.
What about you, bud?
Mine is kind of basic. The first thing that comes to mind, I would just like to buy my mom a house. Just a beach house. Like if I had the money and time, I would just, just give her that if that was an option. Because it would just make her really happy.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to answer this question of like group problem and individual person thing because I feel like that my brain is like divided in that space.
You're meshing our answers.
Meshing the answers because I think that what I would love is to like create like a fund where kids who are writing songs and making songs or making films would be able to just hit the next step. Like I'm not talking necessarily like music lessons and all that stuff, but like access to the tools that I didn't have growing up, like access to production softwares and plugins or even a laptop, like access to potentially producers or studio time outside of like the hundreds of competitions that for studio time that existed in my hometown area. And then on the film side, like if I had unlimited time, that I could help edit or help sound design or be able to help with those projects and fund the projects and get those teams together. And again, not sort of teaching the basics, but like, like the next step where the skill is there, but the money isn't. And I just, because I think that there's so much nepotism in the industry, but there's also so much privilege in the industry.
Oh yeah.
That the more that we can sort of shave off that stuff, the better.
I went to 2 arts-oriented schools. I don't think I'd be here with you today without them. Like the funding for the arts is so important and so undervalued. So I really love that answer.
And honestly, like as a kid, I really almost just stopped doing music altogether because it just felt impossible to even make a record.
Yeah.
And then I had my friend Sam just donate his time to make this record for me. And that at least kept the momentum going long enough to do Berkeley and meet Noah and all that. But I don't think if it was for his extreme generosity as a fucking adult, I don't think... And the opportunity that he had, like he was working at a college that had a studio, so he didn't have to pay for the time. It was just his time, But yeah, if it wasn't for that, I don't know. So that's I think my bigger project, and maybe something I'll get to in my lifetime, and then something that I could do for someone else. Just make sure that my friends are good. I want to get my best friend a girlfriend.
There you go.
A noble cause.
Yeah, just being able to sit down with everybody I love and being like, what do you need? Okay, done.
Yeah.
Like that made my heart feel good just even thinking about it.
It's really
I'm tearing
sweet.
up a little bit. I love my so much. That's a good random question.
It's a really good one.
I like that a lot.
I feel like my answer was too dramatic.
No, yours is what?
perfect.
Are you kidding? That's great.
All right, next question in the question round. What is your phone background?
My phone background?
Yes.
It is... Which one?
I guess both.
Both.
Okay, the first one is Mono Lake,
Ooh.
where I went there...
You got mono.
I did not.
No.
Unfortunately not. I went there with my best friend like last month, and we went when the sun was going down, and we didn't take the correct path, so we had to call 911 to get out because we were there when it was
Oh.
dark.
Wow.
Oh, no.
So that's probably more of a story than you were expecting. And then the other one is Yosemite because that was another stop on the
very
trip.
nice.
Love Yosemite.
And
If I may ask a follow-up question,
Yes.
why is that your phone? Do you just like the picture, or is there something about the memory that of getting trapped that you connect with?
I like the memory for sure, but also just the colors and the nature and the open sky. Like I like that with my technology because I need to be reminded that there are plants. Yes, you get it.
Yeah, I love vistas as a background.
Next question: do you have a non-musical hobby other than fencing? Because
Other than
we've discussed that at length.
I've gotten really into embroidering
Ooh,
over the pandemic.
Very cool.
It calms me down, and
Yeah.
also when I'm taking a break from work and music things, I like to visually create.
And just good to do something with your hands.
Yes,
I bet.
exactly. I can't sit still. It's very difficult for me. So
Yeah.
being able to embroider while I watch TV or something has been
That's
super
great.
helpful. But I'm turning into a grandma slowly. I'm a Catwoman as well. So
Nice.
yeah, we'll see. I
Very
feel like
good.
I'm already 80, but
Embroider a sleeping lion pillow.
Yeah.
I could do that.
We'll keep
Get
A
it
what
in
you
little,
wish
a little
for.
barter that we got going on here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Very important question.
The most important question.
The most important question.
I'm scared.
You should be.
Okay.
Would you
Be a
pirate?
I feel like in the most humble way I can say this, I would be a pretty good pirate,
Mhm.
given that I've been fencing since I was 8.
Yeah.
So I feel
That's
like
so
swashbuckling.
Pretty swashbuckling.
I feel like yes,
Okay.
and I would probably like I'd want to be like managing pirate, not like chief pirate, but I would want to like have
Like a quartermaster.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but it just sounded official.
Yeah.
First mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think fencing would be a very good swashbuckling, but also like a sort of non-violent, sort of more incapacitating type of fighting was what I've read to be popular.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Mhm.
You also just don't want to get stabbed. It would just be a bad way to go.
Yeah,
I have a very low threshold for getting stabbed.
I have a low threshold for being stabbed too, I guess.
I've been stabbed many times,
And you've lived to tell the tale.
and I've lived to tell the tale.
Do you have any tattoos?
I don't.
If
I
you
don't.
were to get one, what would you get?
It would be a girl sprouting
Oh.
Oh, like a tree?
like a tree.
Yeah.
There's an image of that I found on Pinterest that I've been obsessed with ever since I found it, where she has like a little leaf coming out of her head.
Hmm.
Because I feel very much like I'm still sprouting a little bit. My parents would kill me if I got a tattoo. So, mom and dad, you're welcome.
What was the first concert you ever attended?
Alt J,
Nice.
which I'm proud of that answer.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't.
Was it peak Alt J, like first album, right when everyone was like super into Alt J?
I think it was. It was in when I was in high school, which would be 2015, 14.
I did not go to high school with you.
Yeah.
You're looking at me like I have the answer.
I'm like, I graduated in 2014. I'm like, oh, right. Cool.
I feel like it was 20.
Around then?
Around then.
Then I'm gonna say yes. Yeah, it was very cool.
That's very cool.
Ooh.
It seems like a fun show. Can you recommend our listeners a movie, a book, and a TV show?
Oh my gosh, I watched way too much TV.
So do we.
The first movie that comes to my mind is Coraline because I talked about it recently. I
Ooh.
love that
We
movie.
were just talking about it earlier today.
Were you?
Where?
It's
Yeah.
a sign. Book would be The Subtle Art of Not Giving a
Fuck.
Fuck.
Nice.
Nice.
I love that one. It's very harsh, but harsh truths. And then TV show. There's so many. I mean, my favorite is probably Queen's Gambit.
No, may I make some recommendations? I have things.
Yeah, sure.
So movie, I finally watched a classic. Finally watched Hocus Pocus.
Ooh.
I haven't seen it.
I had never seen it. I heard it was great. Turns out it was. TV show, Midnight Mass. I would recommend to anybody who's just a big fan. A big fan. A fan
Flanagan.
A fan.
I'm a big fan. Or
Big-
Flan, I guess.
Yeah, a big fan of Mike Flanagan's work, like The Haunting of Hill House. And actually, Coraline, Haunting a Hill House, putting them together, making a video game recommendation for like gamers who made it through the Abby the Nomad episode last
Right.
week. I just finished this game called Little Nightmares 2, and I have not been so like moved by a game
Oh wow.
since like BioShock. Yeah, it played like Limbo or Inside, like it played like, you know, one of those sort of puzzle platformers, but there's a stealth element to it, and the art direction is like Coraline with a sort of like vibe of Hill House.
Hmm.
And And the story itself is so like moving, despite the fact that there's no dialogue at all, and terrifying. It's like I love when horror can also be moving in the same way that like Hill House like is a great horror piece, but also all of the horror is based in really like human fear and
Right.
and a relationship and emotional fear. I was not expecting. I'd heard good things about the game. I was not expecting this game to be as beautiful as it was. And Little Nightmares 2 is a prequel to Little Nightmares 1. And honestly, I think from a gameplay perspective and from a story perspective, it's so contained that it's worth playing first and only if you're going to play one. But I was just really, really moved by the game. Even if you guys watch like gameplay videos, I think it's definitely worth it. Just visually and aesthetically and story-wise for sure. And then a book I'm reading, Theory of Poker,
Yeah.
baby. Which was
Solid
a
choice.
book that came out a couple decades ago, but like one of the first books about like the theoretical basis of the game, basically saying that like, what if we were against luck? What if we wanted to play a game of skill? How do we make poker the closest to a game of skill possible? And took elements of game theory or not game, and or fighting game theory and going all over there. And one of the things that I found so interesting about the way that any poker book winds up talking about poker is that they talk about the difference between good choices and good decisions. And I think that choices don't matter necessarily. Obviously they do, but that like you can't necessarily gauge the quality of a choice because it's out of your control. You can make a choice and then things out of your control make that a bad choice in retrospect. Or maybe it would have been worse if you went with another thing, but you have no way of knowing because that's a different timeline.
Right.
But there is such thing as a good decision versus a bad decision because it's about information. If you don't have all the information, or if you're struggling to find the information or don't know how to get the information, you are subject to a bad decision. If you could be in a situation with all the information you could possibly have, and you would make that decision over and over and over again despite the outcome, that's a good decision. Because there's no way of knowing past that point.
Right.
So they say whether you win poker or lose poker, it matters less in the long run than what your decision-making process is.
Wow.
And I thought that was hugely profound
Yeah.
and a crazy little piece of life advice to get from like,
Yeah, definitely.
like a card room companion. But I've been thinking a lot about decisions and about what it means to be serene in them. And that's the thing, is like getting as much information as possible and then being okay with whatever the outcome is because you are happy with the decision-making process.
Yeah.
So Theory of Poker, that's what I got out of that.
Wow. That one's really marinating.
Yeah, I
Because
like
it's
that.
also like with music, some bigger things happened that I had always dreamt of, but I realized I wasn't necessarily happy. And it was like, I'm just thinking about how, celebrities you always assume are living their best lives, but they're often not happy.
Right.
And that's very much in what you're saying in decision making and just living with choices that are peaceful. I don't know how
No,
to
because you can make consistently bad decisions
Right.
and they wind up being good choices
Right.
because of luck,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, or just because of how the winds change.
Right.
But part of a good decision is, if this goes a certain way, will I be happy with the outcome? Is this how I would want to represent myself? That's part of the information that you consider. It just, I think overall it just made me sort of feel less regret about things, especially when we put out music. Like, we're investing thousands of dollars into releases, music videos and production and mixing and mastering and marketing and our time in making our TikToks and all that stuff for maybe nothing to happen.
Right.
Or you don't invest anything and you put it up on TikTok and then it gets millions of streams, and both are true, and it's less about those outcomes than the decision-making processes behind them.
Yeah.
And what do you gain and what do you lose and what's worth betting and what's worth risking and all that stuff. So I don't know. That's been my little philosophy for the week.
That's some fascinating shit.
Yeah, everything's poker. I was talking to Charlie Curtis Beard about it this morning.
Nice.
I know I'm a broken fucking record about it, but the more I think about everything like this weird kind of like math, the happier I've been. Because you can let go of math.
Gotta get into poker. Jeez, I'm convinced.
Well, I think it's less about the specifics of poker and more just about like finding finding the metaphors that
Right.
fit your life.
I mean, it's fencing.
It's fencing.
It's
Exactly.
everything.
Like,
yeah. It's the inner game of tennis. Like
Yeah.
that's why I think people who don't play tennis read the inner game of tennis, because the book isn't about playing tennis. It's about mentally preparing yourself for a competitive task. There's a quote from Stephen Sondheim's Sunday in the Park with George that I really like, which is, though the choice may have been mistaken, the choosing was not.
I'm gonna be thinking about that one on the ride home. I like that a lot.
all right. Do you have a scar with a story?
Ooh, yes. I have two.
Okay.
One was in Mono Lake when my friends and I were taking the path that wasn't correct, and there were like all this brush around us, and I got scraped. And so now I always think about Mono Lake and not choosing the gravel path that you're supposed to take down there in the 2 mile like in the brush situation. So that's one.
Must have been a pretty bad scrape.
It's on my knee. It's not the best.
Well, I have a scar from just like a scrape from hiking.
Mhm.
Yeah. Especially if they get a little infected, which
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
are tend to if you're
Right.
scraping up in the dirt. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
The other one was when I fell during cross country practice in middle school
For running?
for running.
Whoa.
I thought cross country was track. So I was like, well, when do we get into the shorter distances? And we never did.
Oh no.
But I did fall on a rock and it went into my knee.
Ugh.
The word cross country didn't tip you off to
I-
the length of.
I guess I
the
wasn't
run.
quite wise enough at the time. But then it was bleeding and everyone was calling me cripple.
No,
Whoa.
And,
that's
it was a time.
high school's fucking
High school was
brutal.
brutal.
But you've always been chasing your dreams,
Yeah.
running after them.
All right. What are 3 thoughts you have at this very moment?
3 thoughts I have at this very moment.
At this very moment.
Oh my gosh. I have a rehearsal at soon
For show?
for a show. I'm playing UC Riverside tomorrow
Ooh.
under their bell tower.
Ooh.
Well, you'll have already done it. It's in the past by the time this comes out. So,
I played UC.
was it great? Was it excellent?
It was fantastic. And I'm slightly stressed because I haven't really rehearsed a lot.
That's how you know you'll be good, because you'll be in the moment.
Also,
Yeah.
you've already done it, so there's nothing to worry
Right.
about.
Yeah.
I did a
You did great.
fantastic
Yeah,
job.
yeah, fantastic
That's kind of it's like in the back of my mind because that was sort of my thing that I should do at some point.
Second thing,
2 more thoughts.
Second thing, I've been looking at that moon behind you a lot. I like it.
it's like a moon shelf.
A moon shelf. I'm really into moons and lunar stuff, and like I just got an S corp for my taxes. Super
Ooh.
extra, but I called it Moon Mischief.
We were
Ooh.
we were DMing about trying to find an LLC name.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I pitched Groundhog Records or
it
whatever.
was
Yeah.
it was a good one, but I had to go with that lunar
I like the
imagery.
lunar. Yeah.
So that would be my second thing. Third thing. I don't know if there's a third thing.
No, there's always a third thing.
Is there?
Dig deep.
Yeah.
Maybe what I said earlier, my friend lives around the block from you,
Mhm.
and I feel like you should become friends.
What's
Sure.
your friends? What's his name?
Jeremy.
Jeremy. Hit us up.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's on your minds?
Oh shit. Wait, is she allowed to do that?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're allowed to do that.
Oh my
Three things,
goodness.
go.
It's never. Oh, it is a harder question than I thought.
Yeah, no, it's really tough. Okay, I am really enjoying this conversation. I feel slightly better coming out of this podcast than I did going into it, which I think is nice. It's always good.
I feel like
Um,
I should have said something like that too, but I thought I didn't. But I also really enjoyed this, so
That's
thank you
good.
guys very much.
I am stressed about the mountain of many different tasks I have on my plate, but like I said, I'm in a good mood now, so I'm trying not to worry about it. And my girlfriend made this salmon dish last night that she refashioned into leftovers.
Ooh.
That was like this rice onigiri thing, and I was just thinking about that because food is always what comes to mind when you get asked this
Nice.
question.
Sounds
I've never
delicious.
seen anybody so excited about Leftovers since the finale on HBO.
Nice.
There's a show called Leftovers.
That one was above my head. It was too good.
Okay, thought one is when you mentioned that wall, I was thinking about how our original plan for that wall was to put up sort of like old school 2-dimensional movie posters
Uh-huh.
based off of like made up movies from Infinite Jest. But then I was thinking about that I actually finally got in touch with somebody who makes like minimalist movie posters, but that I'm not sure if I want the Infinite Jest ones anymore because it's been years since both of us have read it. But that I just played this game called Little Nightmares, and they really they made Hill House posters. And I'm like, well, what if they played Little Nightmares and made a Little Nightmares poster, and then I could get it in my room? So that was my first thought.
Nice.
With a implied shout out to @WalkerWin, WYN, win. My second thought was off of your mountain of work is that I finally like cleared my plate right before the podcast episode.
You're just trying to make him jealous.
But during the episode, I got 2 emails of things that are now ready for me to put back on my plate, and I have to edit this podcast episode before Sunday, which if you're listening to it, I did successfully.
Very good.
Yeah. And then the third thing I'm thinking about, as always, is poker and Sunday in the Park with George. I want to have a game on Friday before we leave for our show in Boston. So I'm probably going to have a house game with some friends. But I'm thinking about how much I miss my one experience of playing like a casino tournament, and how the WSOP is making me really, really want to just like get so good at it that it's like a professional endeavor that I don't feel like a gambler doing.
Right.
And don't feel like ridiculous mentioning it on the podcast so much, because I would actually be a professional. And so it'd be a job that I'm just talking about. Taxable income. And also thinking about Sunday in the Park with George in all of that, which is
Thought 3A and 3B.
3A and 3B, because I brought up Stephen Sondheim earlier, and just about time and creativity and the way that we think about the work that we're doing and the importance of it, and the politics and all of the pieces, and how important it is to contain them into a way that is livable.
Mm-hmm.
Done.
Nice. You both nailed it.
That's not allowed. You weren't allowed to ask that.
That was very stressful. And something broke in the system. Something broke in the matrix there.
Literally 80 epipisodes. This is the first time this has happened.
I know. Well, people have turned questions around on us, but never that one.
Never
That
that
was
one.
hard.
That one's a hard
It's a tough
question.
one.
Yeah.
I think the reason why is because they know that I wouldn't shut up for 5 minutes. So.
3 thoughts? That's too many. All right, final question. What are you looking forward to?
Ooh. You know what I'm really looking forward to is like playing live and one day being hopefully in a tour situation. Because a lot of my friends have been touring or opening for people, and I've been seeing that on stories. And again, like a past Emily maybe would have been like, oh, maybe I'm a little jealous, but I'm just so happy for them. And I feel like that's gonna come at some point. And just with the songs that I've been doing, I'm really excited about the direction my sound is going in. So I'm excited to perform those.
Very good.
Live.
Exciting.
Well, Em, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's so nice to like finally meet you and connect the dots of all of our friends into a beautiful constellation.
Yes.
And we're fans of your music and of your writing and of your swashbuckling. And we wish you all the best, but hope, since we are LA neighbors, that we can hang and write and do all the things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you both for having me. I really
you.
appreciate it.
We'll talk to you soon.
I'm sick and tired of living Groundhog Day, day after day, day after day. And I think I'm gonna break. I think I'm gonna break. And I think I'm gonna break.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Talking Lion.
We would like to thank New Wave, The Truffleist, and Isotope for their support of Talking Lion.
If you'd like to show your support, ask our guests your questions, talk to us on Discord, and get a shout out at the end of each episode, subscribe to our Patreon over at patreon.com/talkinglion.
Thank you for listening, and see you next time.